Hello and welcome to episode 58 of the Your Way podcast. So it's lovely to be back. This is day one for me back at work post the 3-week trip to Bali. It is also the equinox, so the autumn equinox for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, and the spring equinox for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere. So may you have spent today embracing the light and the dark within you and around you. So, this episode won't go live until early October. So, I guess, first of all, how was September for you? It was a massive, massive month collectively for shedding and releasing and letting go. Um, so many different things supported this. We had a couple of eclipses. As I said, today's the equinox. For those in the Northern Hemisphere, we're coming into autumn, like lots of letting go themes. September is the ninth month of the year. We're in a 9-year cycle in numerology. We're in the year with the snake. So there's just so much shedding and ending of cycles. And so if September was a bit of a wild ride for you, then please know that you are in good company. And hopefully, what you allowed throughout that month was some of those old patterns, some of those old ways of being, and some of the things that just don't fit the next chapter of your journey to fall away. Just like the leaves fall from the trees. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with the trees, it's just part of their natural cycle of growth. They shed the leaves, they cultivate all of that energy for the new growth, that new birth in the spring. Which may be some of what you are feeling in October. A 1 month, so more of that rebirth renewal energy. So, what I'm going to talk to you about today, and I imagine there'll be a series of podcasts on this, is one of the things that really hit home for me during my 3 weeks in Bali. And that is the concept of cultivating presence, the ability to be present, and what this really, really looks like in practice versus maybe sometimes when we tell ourselves that we are being and that we are being present and we are cultivating some stillness, but the reality is that we are not doing those things because we're still just going through the motions from this place of busyness, overgiving, trying to push, trying to prove, trying to do all of the things. So I had many, many realizations when I was away. It was a profound 3 weeks of insights and learnings, much of which will continue to be integrated over the weeks and months. And I'm sure I will be sharing more as I go through. But one of the deeply profound realizations that I had right at the start was, whilst I am very, very good at doing my practices, many of the ways that I go about that in my day to day, more often than not, is more of a going through the motions of doing the practice versus deeply embodying and being and allowing that presence in the practice. And if this is my experience, then more likely than not, it is also your experience, right? Maybe at a lesser degree, maybe at a greater degree. But I do think it's really something that is worth exploring. So, what do I mean? What am I on about? So, I deeply, deeply believe that the most powerful thing that we can do for ourselves in our lives is to slow down enough in order to be able to receive guidance, whether that's from our higher selves or a higher power or both. And also to be present enough in the moment that we can experience whatever is happening, so that we can be fully in the moment, not distracted, not checked out, not thinking about the past or the future, but just being present in the now. And so before I went away, my daily practice every day, there's a stretch component, there is a centering component, there is a being still component in my day. And in my mind, it was all pretty good, right? Um, so I go away. And the second and third days of my trip, I spent some time with one of the guys who is in my Time Alchemy membership, who is also a friend and someone that I've known and have had kind of contact with for quite a while. Now, he has had an incredible experience journey over the past few years. He will be coming on the podcast to talk about this in more detail, but he has studied with some incredible masters of different modalities all over the world. And one of the things that he has trained in, and actually he did some more training while I was out there, he went over to Thailand for a few days to do, is Qigong. So Qigong is a beautiful practice. How would I describe it? It's a gentle movement practice. It probably is closest to something like Tai Chi. It's definitely a lot more gentle than yoga, or most kinds of yoga. Um, and the way and I learned Qigong first through one of my coaches and then my therapist on various retreats. And the way that my therapist describes Qigong is it's a movement practice that is designed to use as little energy as possible. So you exert as little energy as possible in a way that gives your body more energy. Okay. So I love my Qigong. I do it every day, mostly as a way to open up all of my channels, do some work for my lymphatic system. So I'm on the beach with Greg. That's his name. And he starts doing some stretches and starts doing some Qigong. And I said, can I join you? Like, do you mind if I join you? And so he led me through a relatively short Qigong practice. And one of the exercises that he was doing is something that I do every day. Okay, so about 50% of what he was doing was part of my daily routine. And yet, right, as he's describing it, as he's talking me through the movement, he's saying things like, you can just be in this present moment now. The only thing that matters is this current moment. Like, and there was a breeze and it was sunny. Like, feel the sun, feel the breeze, really feel yourself in the being present, feel your feet on the sand, and notice all of these different things. And just like this light bulb moment in my mind of, oh, I'm really just going through the motions when I do this at home. I'm doing the moves, but I'm not intentionally connecting the moves with the breath. I'm not intentionally connecting the moves with the breath and my body and allowing myself to feel into my body and to be present in the moment. Like, I'm often thinking about other stuff, I'm planning out my day, I'm multitasking. Halfway through, I'm picking up my phone, like, right, I've just been honest, that's how it went. And it was this realization of, oh, like the actual practice in and of itself, the time spent, the moves, it's there, but the intention behind how I'm doing it and the way that I'm showing up for it, I'm not actually being fully present. And so this was this first like indication and nudge of this feeling, this invitation of there is another level of presence that is available, and there is another level of presence that life is now asking me to embody. So this was the first Monday, okay? And then from the Tuesday evening, I then went back to the villa that I'd booked, so I had time just on my own. And I noticed that I actually really wanted to start my days in this space of deeper presence. So similar practices still to home, but from this space of deep, deep presence. So fast forward a week. So we're on the second Monday now, which is about day 9 of my trip. And I go and do this beautiful, beautiful day. It was called a Balinese Wellness Odyssey, and it was an opportunity for me to experience and learn lots of the different ways that the the Balinese culture, there's a lot of Hinduism, but how that kind of the Balinese approach, the Hindu approach, not sure what the right verb is there. But how this all comes together and how they kind of really holistically take care of themselves. So I start the day with an hour yoga session with a Balinese yoga teacher who comes from a long lineage of Balinese priests. And again, we have this incredible experience. And he says, even before we start, I have this feeling that I need to teach you the mudras. So rather than it being like an active physical session, it was more sitting in certain positions, learning different breath techniques. There was a little bit of kind of physical involvement in some of the moves. And I think a lot of this, if you were going to label it, would be kind of Kundalini yoga. But for him, it's just the ancient practices that he's learned of these different mudras. And again, it was all about slowing down, connecting, presence. There was lots of kind of holding your breath, and then doing different things within the body to kind of cultivate energy, create healing, create different things. So again, there's this next nudge of this need to slow down, be present. So the next day, day 10, I have a session with a Balinese healer. And we begin to talk through, I didn't really know why I needed to go and see a Balinese healer. It was an interesting text message exchange. I was like, I know I need to come and see you, but I don't really know what I need to come and see you for. But anyway, so we had this discussion. I sort of give him a little bit of my history, background, like the past 7 years, the childhood, and all of the rest of it. And he talked through, like there's lots of different things that we have to keep healthy in the bodies, like that. There's the physical health, there's the emotional health, there's the mental health. And he says, like, your physical health and how your body functions, a lot of that is to do with food and your diet. And he talked through the various aspects. And he said, well, which of these areas is it that you think that you might need to focus on? And I immediately knew, I said, it's my mind. It's my mind. So we do this incredible, incredible energy healing session. Which again I may talk about in more detail at some point, but just amazing. And we get to the end, and he said, most people, when they come to see me, he said they have a lot of blocks in their system. There's lots of things that need working through. He said, you have got no blocks. He said, you have got no blocks. He said, you've worked through your stuff. He said, you're like, everything's clear, but your mind is too busy. said, your mind is still too busy. You spend too much time worrying about things. You spend too much time thinking about things. And the yoga and things that you are doing is great. He said, but the thing that you need the most is you need the meditation. You need the styles of yoga where it isn't movement based, it's more breath and body based, which was incredible considering the guy the day before had said the same thing to me and had then offered to spend time with me to teach me how to do this stuff. Um, and so again, it was this next nudge of actually all you need, really all you need at this point, like you've done all of this healing work, it's incredible. Really, all you need at this point is a more intentional practice to be present and keep the mind quiet. Okay. So again, he gave me some amazing, amazing tools for this, which are so simple and so easy. And I'm so excited to share them with clients because they're going to be absolute game changers. But again, what I noticed was it actually wasn't that hard for me. Like once I admitted and was like, oh yeah, actually my real issue here is that ability to be present and really, really cultivate presence. Once my system experienced a couple of days of the things that I was being shown, there was this immediate shift and it just felt so incredible. Like it didn't matter what was going on outside because Bali was pretty crazy at times. There was this renewed and deeper sense of internal safety, internal peace, internal presence. And then from that space, next level intuitive hits, next level guidance. I started to see with extreme clarity the people in my orbit that I have soul contracts with right now. I could see with absolute clarity who were the people that I was here to help, who were the people who were here to help me. I could even see with some people our past life connection. Like it just became super clear to me. It like the downloads just started coming. And whilst I've always been quite intuitive and I've always had those psychic gifts, this was next level. And it was just such an amazing experience for me because for a long, long time, like if you've listened to this podcast for a while or you've followed me for a while, you will know that I have spent years talking about that need to slow down. You know, the whole slow down to speed up thing. And I know it's a bit of a like, whatever phrase, but that truth in like the power of the pause. And what Bali showed me, I'm going to reach for a prop. My clients know I love a prop. Is that like, so for those of you who are only listening, I've just got a ruler out. Like, if this is the spectrum of embodiment, being in your body, slowing down, learning to be present, learning to be still, and getting to that place where everything in within you is such a pristine channel, there is so much clarity that the guidance can then just flow in with so much more ease. If you go from 0 to 10 on the ruler, that's incredible, right? It's an incredible shift. Like if I think about myself as a lawyer 7 years ago to where I was when I went to Bali, like absolutely night and day. But then it's also just remembering. And the ruler doesn't stop at 30 centimeters. This ruler stops at 30 centimeters, right? But the ruler is however long, right? And so this is just I guess, an invitation for you, because it was eye-opening for me, of really getting very honest with yourself of where are you on the scale of being present, of slowing down, of putting yourself in a space where you are able to receive that guidance, whether you see that guidance as being from your higher self, whether you see it as being from a God or God, a God, um, the universe, some kind of a higher power, your ancestors, whatever it is, get really, really honest with yourself and just be curious around, okay, well, what more might need to happen, or what less might need to happen, or what would be different? What would be different about how I go about my day to day, how I conduct myself, how I live my life, if I was going to move up another 5 points on the scale? You don't need to be trying to get to the end of the scale, right? We're not here to be perfectionists, but it's like, but what would life look like? What is required of me to move further up this scale of presence? Because not only do you experience a lot more in terms of the intuition, the psychic gifts, that deep, deep clarity about what you're here to do and how you're here to do it, when you are present and in the present moment, you can also enjoy the present moment a hell of a lot more. You can be in that space without worrying about what's going to happen in the future, or, ruminating over what's been in the past. You just get to be and you just get to live. And so let this be an activation for you. Let this be a little bit of a kick up the bum, not a big kick up the bum, just a little kick up the bum of, where are there things in your life that you are telling yourself you are doing for your benefit? And of course, you are doing them for your benefit. But where are you simply going through the motions versus really deepening into that presence and that state of being? Because the more you can cultivate that, the more of the nudges and the messages and the guidance and the things that you will get, the easier life becomes, the more useful you can be to other people, right? They've got to want your support. But there's a plethora of people out there right now, and I see the soul contract. I see exactly what they're here to do. I know exactly how I help them. So my work is just to allow them to come to me, right? Don't need to go and chase it. Can I just allow them to come to me? But we don't get that level of insight, information, when we're constantly go, 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 go. Even if we're telling ourselves we're going a bit slower, where could you soften even more into presence and being? So I would love to hear what your takeaways are from this episode. The next round of Wealthy Witches has been pushed back a little bit. So that group will now start with an intro call on the 22nd of October before we kick off formally on the 29th of October. The group calls will go for 16 weeks, but we'll have a 2-week gap over Christmas, the festive period, towards the end of December. And then the retreat will be at the next equinox in March. So that will be your spring or autumn equinox, depending on where you are in the world. The group size is limited to 12. Do not worry about your time zone and where you are, or that the group is going to be too big, because there will be a couple of different call options with a bigger group size. So I've got you covered. And really, that space is for you if you are ready to activate your intuitive and psychic gifts at a deeper level. And if you are really ready to birth the soul mission that only you can into the world, right? We are all here with an individual purpose and a mission, and your mission is your market of one, right? There's no competition. There's no competition out there for wealthy witches. It's the only space of its kind. I'm the only person that can lead people through that work because of my lived experience to date. Right? And what we will do within the Wealthy Witches Mastermind is take you through a process so you can see exactly what your market of one is and why you are uniquely positioned to bring it to the collective. You will go through everything you need to fortify you and prepare you for your mission. You will get individualized plans and strategy and everything that you need to make sure that you are put first on the priority list at all times. This is not one of those spaces where it's like, you sacrifice everything to do your work. Nope. It's the exact opposite. And we will work through all of those slightly crunchy things that make it hard to put yourself out there. So we will look at money and visibility and power. We're also going to do some work to really help you unleash, I guess it's the Kundalini energy actually, but that kind of more sensual, um, sexual magnetic part of you that in both males and females is so often suppressed because of all of the conditioning that goes around that. And we're going to play and we're going to have a great time, and you are going to get absolutely everything that you need to support you to bring your mission to life. So, information on that mastermind is in the show notes, as are the other ways to work with me. But there's plenty of free stuff down there as well if you just want to kind of dip your toe in and see what it's like to be in a space with me. But if Wealthy Witches is calling you, now is the time. I said at the start of the year, the podcast in January, that this was going to be a huge year of change, of disruption, of revolution, of old paradigms falling away, and this rebirth energy of people here to shift and do things differently. And we are massively seeing that now. And I deeply believe that the next 6 months are going to be huge for us collectively. And so if you would like a space that is going to hold you for that 6 months, because you get support, you get one-on-one support with me as soon as you join, you get a monthly one-on-one session. And then for those of you who are doing the retreat, your unlimited one-on-one support continues until after the retreat. So you will have 6 months of support with me within that space, with bits of integration time at the midway point of the group calls, and then there'll be a couple of weeks gap, 3 weeks gap, I think, at the end of the group calls before we have the retreat. So there's plenty of space and time for integration and presence and being. The space is limited to 9 conscious leaders. Men and women are welcome. And when I have done some work with my coach and accessed the Akashic records for this offer, I see 8 women, and 4 men in this space. So I've said it before, for me, a witch is not a gender specific title. It's not really even a title at all. For me, a witch is someone who is deeply connected to themselves, to nature. I would call myself a green witch. So that means that my practices look at holistic health from the perspective of how do we use nature, plants, herbs, to keep ourselves well? How do we work with the sun and the moon and the seasons? But the thing about being a witch is that it's not like it's a protected term, right? It can mean whatever it means to you. So if this space calls you, know that you are welcome. Apply below for a call to speak to me about it. And it's important that we have a conversation because this is a high level mastermind for leaders who are ready. It doesn't mean that you haven't got some fears, or that there might be things that feel a bit uncomfortable about maybe joining. But it's very important to me that this is a space of integrity and of people who are ready to do this work. So to join this space, you've probably already done quite a bit of therapy, maybe some coaching, you've done the healing work. You may not be an expert at it, but you understand the role of the nervous system and the body in staying well. And this space is just going to help you to deepen into all of that. But this is not a beginner space. And so if this is where you're at, if this is your level, if this is calling you, come and speak to me. You can email me, you can send me messages on social media. There is a link to book a call on the sales page. But yeah, I hope you will join us. And if this is not the right space for you right now, as I said before, check out the other ways of working with me below. But if you take nothing else away, ask yourself that question, start to get really curious and explore how you can cultivate just a little bit more presence and being in your day to day, and just notice what it opens up. All right, take care of yourselves. I will see you soon. Lots of love. Bye.